Manifestation is only real if you want it to be. And that essentially means that it's only real for some people. While others might believe in it, it isn't actually real for them. It doesn't exist in their reality. And this comes from the fact that 99% of people don't understand manifestation. They think it's something that it's not. Now, manifestation becomes defensible when it's defined as a very specific process. Now, the process is intention needs to influence attention. Then it needs to influence identity along with your decisions. And on top of that, it'll create a repeated pattern of behavior. Now, what does all of that lead to? If it was a math equation, the equal sign would point to eventual outcomes. Now, when you break things down in terms of a math equation, it becomes very logical and it really transfers away from this voodoo-y kind of mythical setup that a lot of people want to believe it is, where you look up at a star and make a big wish, right? And all of a sudden, you've manifested this crazy dramatic life that isn't even remotely close to the life that you have now. That's not to say that you can't go on and create a magnificent life. I mean, you can dramatically change your life. North-south difference. I mean, it can be that dramatic. I truly believe that anybody can accomplish anything, but the reality is most people won't accomplish anything. And it has nothing to do with manifestation being real or manifestation being not real. It only falls on the fact that most people will not take the actions required to actually manifest anything, okay? Because the power of the mind is infinite. You are able to bend reality with this thing in between your ears, and that is a complete fact. But if you don't understand that your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world, if you don't truly believe that and you don't understand how to utilize it to your advantage, then it doesn't matter what you believe about manifestation. It's never going to happen for you. And that solely relies on the fact that you won't take action. There is tons of documented research on this. And all of the findings include that positive fantasies, while they can be beneficial, they actually reduce the energy that you're putting into your goals. Because what happens when you create, a really, really positive fantasy in your head, right? Your brain releases dopamine, your brain releases serotonin, and your brain, people like to say, doesn't know the difference between you accomplishing something and you just imagining yourself accomplishing it. And while that is inherently true, it's a whole lot more complicated than people want to make it out to be. But let's go with the fact that that is inherently true. Now, that's useful for you to create the reality and see it and visualize it, right? But if you don't take the next actionable steps to then do the things you need to do to create that reality, then it's never going to happen. You're never, ever going to get the result by just imagining things, okay? That's going to set you up for failure because you're essentially just daydreaming all day long, right? So what I like to talk about is mental contrasting. Now, mental contrasting works completely differently, okay? So this is what manifestation actually is. A person visualizes their desired future, their desired result, right? You need to see it, you need to feel it, you need to form an emotional bond to it. And I've become exceptional at this over the years. I mean, I'm able to give myself goosebumps. I'm able to elicit tears. I'm able to feel at an unbelievable level just through visualization. And I credit tons of my success to it. But I don't just do that and then everything magically happened for me, okay? What I did was I visualized it. I felt it. I became emotionally tied to it. And I'm very stubborn. Once I'm fucking tied to something, I am not letting go, right? I became emotionally tied to that result. So now the work that I knew I needed to put in to get to that result, it became far less fatiguing on my brain to actually produce the energy and the effort necessary to complete that work, because I had already felt what it was going to feel like when I got the desired result. Do you see how this is a cycle, okay? It's not just I imagine it and then it happens. No, you imagine it, you become emotionally tied to it, and then the necessary work that you already know, even without visualizing it, you already know you have to complete necessary work to get your desired result. And the only reason that you don't do it is because people are inherently lazy. They're lazy and they won't do the work necessary. That hurts everybody's feelings, but it is the truth. Because if you really were just a workhorse, right? I mean like a fucking grinder, and there was no amount of work that you weren't willing to do, you would have everything you have ever dreamed of right now. And that is a fact. It's because you're human. And I'm not shaming you for that. I'm human too. I have missed out on opportunities just the same as you have. The only difference between me and you right now is that I've capitalized on more than you have. And that's why I'm in a position to create content and own a company. And, I had all this success in sales. It doesn't mean I'm better than you by any means. I'm just telling you that I have missed out on opportunities just like you have because I was fucking lazy and I didn't do the work. But now I have seen what happens when I put my head down and I do the work. Manifestation isn't some cheat code where you just imagine this amazing future and then there it is. No, that isn't how it works, okay? You have to imagine it to become emotionally tied to it so that once you start actually putting in the effort and work necessary, you aren't as fatigued, you aren't as tired, you're more willing to continue to show up day after day and fail along the way because you've already seen the result, you've already felt it, you're already emotionally bonded with it. So you actually do the fucking work. Now, here's where things get a little bit more voodoo-y, okay? And this is another hard fact. Now, this is where all the researchers and everyone who's super, super hard one side on science get pretty upset, okay? But I am 1,000,000% in agreement with this. Now, the other part of manifestation that can't be proved by science is the universe meets you in the middle. That's a fact. Now, whether you want to believe that we're all just one being in different entities and, every person, on earth has a piece of you and you have a piece of them and we're all just one. And, when your identity kind of meets, a new plateau and you find new goals associated to break that plateau, everyone else feels the same thing. Some people believe that. Some people believe that, there's multiple timelines or infinite timelines essentially, and every single result is happening all at once. And based on your actions, based on your decisions, you kind of jump through different timelines, right? There's a couple different ideologies. Some people who are hard geared into religion only believe that, whoever their savior is, whether, I'm obviously Christian, right? And, if you believe it's, Jesus Christ who is going to be guiding you and pushing you towards your goals, whatever it might be, there's all sorts of different explanations for this. And just because nobody agrees on anything doesn't mean that it isn't happening. Now, I don't care what you believe in, right? Because I'll tell you the truth. I'm essentially split, between two different observations that I would lean on, right? I am a Christian, born again, right? I used to be a sinner, gave my life to Christ and I'm God's warrior, right? But I do associate extremely heavily with the infinite timeline theory. And I do truthfully believe that is what happens because I've seen it happen so many times in my life. Now, when we want to talk about the infinite timeline theory, what I will explain it as is everything is happening all at the same time. Okay? There are infinite realities, which means there are infinite versions of you. There's a version of you, let's make it very simple. There's a version of you that woke up today and put on a pair of white socks, right? There's a version of you that woke up today and put on a pair of black socks. Do you see where I'm going with this? And we can go further and further and further. There's a version of you that decided to go to college after high school. There's a version of you that didn't decide to go to college. There's a version of you where your parents got divorced. There's a version of you where your parents stayed together. There's a version of you where you have a sibling, right? Version of you that doesn't. Everything, okay? There are infinite timelines. And because there's infinite timelines, that means that time as we know it is not linear. So a lot of people think it was 2024, 2025, 2026. Time, instead of thinking it as a linear object where it's moving, in a straight line and we are going with it, in the infinite realities theory, it's actually more so that time is just a big circle and everything is happening all at once right now. And if you're not someone who's looked into this, you might be watching this video thinking, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I'm telling you, do your due diligence, do your research. I align very heavily with that because I've seen it, right? I've seen the universe try to move me into a specific timeline because I am extremely heavy on manifestation. I've mastered this, okay? And I've created so many opportunities for myself because I have mastered it. Now, I have seen myself miss opportunities to what they call quantum leap, okay? Quantum leap it comes from quantum physics, and this is where science actually really gels in with the infinite timeline theory, because quantum leap is essentially saying that you are able to jump from timeline to timeline based on very specific decisions that you make. All right. So I have seen myself miss out on quantum leaps before, and I also have seen myself do it. Now, the reason that I bring up missing out on it first, you might think, well, why would you bring up a negative first? Is because you don't recognize when you're doing it. You just think, oh, that was a good decision by me. I wasn't really sure if I was going to do that, and look how great it worked out, right? And your brain just kind of glosses over it, right? Now, what I would encourage you to do is think about a time where you absolutely could have done something and you didn't. And maybe someone else did, and they got the exact result that you wanted. You could have leaped into a timeline where you got that result. And now you might be thinking, well, that's just making different decisions, and you make different decisions in life. It is so much greater than that, because if you are aware of the butterfly effect, that's saying that, one decision dominoes over and over and over again into 100 other different decisions that then would be made, different outcomes that would come from those decisions, and then your life is dramatically different because you decided to order a fucking cheese pizza instead of a pepperoni. Now, that's a silly example, but I say that silly example because I want you to understand how dramatic this effect is, okay? This is going to cause you, if you really take this information in, this is going to cause you to become hyper aware of the decisions that you're making, because I'm telling you, everything counts. Now, going back to manifestation, right? When I told you that the universe is on your side, it wants you to do well. It wants winners. God favors winners, okay? The universe favors winners. It wants you to make the right decisions. It wants you to become your highest self. Now, when you're making those decisions, it's going to meet you in the middle. So if you can manifest and visualize your desired outcome, who do you want to be? What is the result? And you need to become so good at visualizing that you give yourself goosebumps. You can bring yourself to tears. You can feel it so much emotionally that you become soul tied with that outcome. And trust me, you'll know it when you do it, okay? It's going to take a lot of practice for some of you. It really will. For me, it's so easy. I mean, I can activate my emotions towards any type of outcome, at the snap of a finger, right? But it's because I've been practicing this for years and years. For you, it might be difficult at first, but don't give up. Continue to try, because you will get to the point where it works. That's step one. If you can't do that, none of this matters. So practice that first. Now, once you have that dialed in, then you put the work in. And you start doing the things you need to do, the actionable steps to get to that outcome, right? You have to start putting in the work. Now, this is where the universe or God or multiple timelines, whatever you want to call it, starts jumping in. If you've done the visualization correctly, and then you are taking action and you're doing the things you know you need to do, that's when the universe starts meeting you in the middle. And it starts presenting you little quantum leaps. It starts giving you these small little opportunities where, it just feels like a fucking layup. It really does. You see it and you're like, oh wow, like this is great. Okay, yes, I'm gonna do that. And then you do it, and then all of a sudden you're like 2 months ahead of where you probably should have been on your goals, like that, like in a day, right? That's the universe meeting you in the middle. And when you combine all of these things together, this is what I'm talking about when I tell you that if you understand manifestation, you can bend reality. You can live any life that you want. You can become limitless because you understand that you are not trapped in any specific timeline. There are millions of versions of you, and they've all done amazing things. They've all done horrible things. You can be anybody you want. You're not limited to your perceived reality that you are in right now. And a lot of people get stuck in that. They think, "Oh, I'm only this person. I'm only so good now. I'm only, who I am today." There are versions of you that have already accomplished unbelievable things. Unbelievable. So don't shortchange yourself, because if you shortchange yourself, you're effectively shutting off the universe from trying to help you accomplish anything meaningful, and you're self-sabotaging your own destiny, whatever that might be for you specifically. And that comes from your hero's journey, right? You have to go and find out who you're supposed to be, and that's what they call the hero's journey, right? Every great movie has a hero's journey, right? And what that means is, before the hero in the movie can become the hero, he has to go and go through some shit, right? He's got to go and overcome some things, maybe help some people out, maybe help himself out, right? Change, develop. And then once he or she has done that, then the movie can start to reach the climax, okay? Because the hero's gone through the hero's journey. That's what you're on right now. So if you don't put the time in, if you don't put the effort in to go on your hero's journey, then what's the point of this thing, right? So start to manifest, start to visualize. What is the climax in this story for you? What does it look like? What do you have to do? And then once you do that and you get good at it and you really can do it, right? You need to be emotionally soul tied to that desired outcome, right? Once you get good at it, then you can start your hero's journey. You can start putting the work in, putting the effort in. And it's not going to be easy. You're going to fail plenty of times throughout it, but that's the hero's journey. You have to change, because who you are right now in this current timeline isn't enough. You're not enough for the result that you want. And that's okay, because through your hero's journey, which will be found through manifesting, you will change and develop into the person you need to be to get that result, okay? Now, it all comes down, if I wanted to make this as simple as I possibly could, you need to combine vision to behavior. If you can combine your vision of the future to your behavior in the present, then you will be able to create your desired outcome. It really is that simple. Now, everything I just covered, all those complex topics, yeah, that's vitally important. And you need to understand those things. By far, you need to understand those things. But just to make it as simple as I can, because 99% of the people who watch this video, you're not even gonna fucking do anything with this information. You're not. You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna be like, wow, that was cool. Like he explained it really well. Like I get it. And then you're going to go back to fucking jerking off and playing slap ass and doing nothing, right? But the 1% who take this information and capitalize on it, what I need you to remember just to get started is all you need to do is combine your vision with your behavior, and you will get to the point where you're reaching your desired outcome. It really is that simple. So the biggest lessons that I want you to pull away from this video, okay, is you have to stop using visualization as a temporary experience, because all you're doing is looking into a life that you haven't earned. It isn't hyper specific. You haven't taken the time to really develop a specific image, a specific life. You just fantasize while you're scrolling through Instagram Reels, and you're like, oh, I'd love to have an SVJ and, a diamond watch. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, like I guess, right? We need to start breaking this down as you specifically. Like, where do you live? Like, do you live in a different state? Like, how old are you going to be when this happens, right? What color is the walls in your bedroom in your new house, right? Let's get fucking crazy specific on this, right? And let's stop playing slap ass on the phone, just doing a temporary fake visualization, where you imagine it for 5 seconds. That isn't helping you, okay? And I say that not to be insulting, but because I know for a fact, because I've spoken with so many people, that's something that people are doing now, and they think that's kind of helping them. No, it's fucking not. So stop doing that, okay? Then what I need you to do, after you picture that future very, very clearly, like as clear as it could ever be, okay? You then immediately need to identify what are the beliefs, what is the behavior, and who is the person who accomplishes that future, who accomplishes that goal, who builds that life. What is their identity, okay? What is their belief system, and what behaviors do they do every day? Not the outcome anymore, the person. Who is that version of you? What do they do, okay? Identity, belief, behavior, all right? Then you're going to start to realize, okay, identity, belief, behavior, that's not me yet though. I'm not that guy yet. I'm not that girl yet. Okay, good. Yeah, I know. Like that's not a surprise. So don't be upset when you realize that, okay? That's part of this. That means you're doing good so far, okay? You're going to realize, I got some obstacles I have to overcome here if I really truly want to get to this goal. Okay, no problem, right? Figure out the obstacles, okay? And then figure out what are you going to do to be able to execute to overcome those obstacles, right? And you're not going to do it right away at first. You're going to fail over and over again, right? But what are the current limiting beliefs you have? What are the obstacles in your life right now that are actively preventing you from accomplishing your goals? Do you not have enough money to buy, some type of information to start? Do you not have, enough freedom in terms of your time? Are you working too many hours somewhere? Are you in an environment with toxic people? Like, what is it? Like, what's your biggest obstacle right now that's preventing you? Okay? Start to find a solution to that, because you're going to have one. Everyone does. There's always like an immediate change that needs to happen before you can really start building. So figure out what that is, okay? Then, after that, you just follow the simple instructions that I gave you, okay? And I say simple because at this point, I've been doing this for years and I've built a really incredible life because of it. I mean, I've sold millions of dollars in the online space, right? I've built awesome relationships. I've had some fucking crazy life experiences, okay? Made a ton of money. But more so than anything else, and I want to stress this is vitally important. The person that you become, that's by far the most rewarding part, okay? So the journey is actually the destination. And sometimes that comes off as a little demotivating because I know you watching, you're like, I need to get my SVJ. And it's like, yeah, like that's cool too. Don't worry. Like I get it. That is cool too. But if you're someone right now who you're not where you want to be, we know this. But more so than anything else, you're not the person you want to be. You don't look in the mirror every day and think like that's a badass motherfucker. You look in the mirror and you're like, is this it? And that's kind of a tough thing to hear. I don't say that to shit on you or put you down. I'm being truthful because I used to feel that way. Looking in the mirror and thinking like, is this it? Is this all we got? Is a shitty fucking feeling. And you want to eliminate that as fast as you can from your life because I'm telling you, the person you become is the most rewarding part by far. If you can be truly content with yourself and you can be truly happy with who you are as a person because of the things you overcame, because of the accomplishments you have, because of the experiences that you were able to, cultivate in your life and all of that character development, right? If you can be happy with who you are, nothing can hurt you anymore. Nothing. It doesn't matter. Whatever life throws at you, whatever people do to you, it doesn't matter. Nothing can hurt you anymore at that point. And that's incredibly rewarding because someone who has supreme confidence that isn't faked, that is real and true and tied to, character that they developed, that person is unbreakable. That is, a very, very special thing. So that's what I would advise you to aim for, is to become that type of person. And trust me, that type of person, they accomplish all of their wildest dreams. That's undeniable. There's no way around it. So hopefully you understand manifestation at a much deeper level at this point, okay? There's tons of misinformation on it, and it's causing people to do these practices that maybe they think are helping that are a complete waste of fucking time. So everything I just told you, that is the exact step-by-step process that I used to manifest everything that I have. There's no question about it. I practice it to this day. I will never stop practicing it because that is the formula to create a beautiful life. That's the formula for all success. It's the formula for everything. It's the laws of the universe and it's the laws of yourself. So if you got to go back and take some notes, if you didn't, I highly recommend that you do, because if you implement this right now, your life could be dramatically different in as little as 2 weeks. I mean, as little as 1 week even. I mean, these things compound very quickly and you might be surprised. There might be immediate outcomes waiting for you. And you've just been a lazy piece of shit who hasn't done anything. So there could be things waiting for you like in a week. So I advise that you start this practice immediately. Now, what I would encourage you to do as well is get into high ticket sales. Now, there's plenty of ways to make money online nowadays, but in my personal opinion, I believe that sales is the best all-around skill for money and personal development, okay? Sales is the art of communication. Now, communication, that's in every relationship that you have. Not just business, not just personal, not just family, everything, okay? The person who has a strong communication skill set and strong emotional intelligence has a signature advantage over everyone else in the game. It's not even close. So not only is sales going to make you a tremendous amount of money, but it's going to give you an unbelievable edge in the competition for success in general. It's also going to dramatically improve all of your personal relationships in your life. Mastering communication, mastering emotional intelligence is a phenomenal thing for you to do. So I highly recommend that if you're looking for a path to make money online, you want to manifest, put this into action. What I would have you do is click below, okay? We have a link. It's going to go to my landing page. There'll be a quick video on there that explains, how high ticket sales works, how many people we've helped, all that good stuff, everything that you need to know. And then after that, there'll be a quick application, just get the basic information from you, and then it'll have you book a call. You'll jump on with my team and they will create, a customized plan for you, walk you through the whole thing, and we can get you started in high ticket sales, which is how I've made all of my money and how I've helped hundreds of people do the same. So as always, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this brought you a ton of value, and we will see you on the next video.